Hey, let's go back to the grind for a minute. You being a guy that shows up early, I've wondered this about you. You know, you've told the story of handing out papers in Boston. You know, the origin stories of Barstool. What I'm kind of curious about, and I don't know if you've said this or if I just kind of picked this idea up, but the pizza reviews, which are super popular, one of your biggest things, I think. I don't think there was a grand plan. I think you've said that before. Like when you started doing the pizza reviews, I don't think you had any vision that it would become what it has become. But when you were founding Barstool Sports brick by brick, did you have a vision for what it's become? I'm kind of curious if you're the kind of entrepreneur that sits down with the big vision and then sets about executing that vision, or sort of just keeps perpetual motion going until you find success.
Perpetual motion. There was definitely no grand plan. I'm sure there's some entrepreneurs who have a grand plan. I would guess they're few and far between. There's probably far more entrepreneurs who are full of crap and say they had a grand plan of what they expected. But in my world, we started as a newspaper, and then, you know, the internet wasn't really humming, so there was no way to predict it. People still ask me, where do I see Barstool in 5 years? Well, during the course of running Barstool, I didn't know MySpace would exist, dating myself, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everything. So how can you ever know where you're going to be in 5 years when you don't know what the next 6 months is going to bring? Everything changes. The biggest advantage, there's a bunch of things, right place, right time, right guy, but we've been nimble, just nimble. We're not stuck in our ways. And a lot of networks that we've competed against are the opposite. They're stuck in their ways, old school, older. I'd like to say we're like one of the first true digital media companies, and we've just reacted quickly and been able to maneuver. And, you know, I think if people ask me what is the best compliment you can give to Barstool Sports, we've managed to stay cutting edge, cool, if you want to say it, for like 20 years. Very hard to do for a media company. Eventually, you get stale, get old, and the next new guy comes. Maybe thanks to Roger Goodell, thanks to whoever, we've managed to stay cool.
Well, so when your sort of philosophy, or at least tactic, is stay nimble. So whatever it's going to be, we're going to jump into that and we're going to try to dominate that. That's got to come. That comes with a significant amount of failure as well. I mean, you've got to be willing to fail, pivot, succeed, chase every step of the way. So, like, is there a tolerance? Like, I don't even know, like, is it 80% of the stuff you're trying failing? If you're constantly moving and no, pivot this way, pivot that way. Do you ever run the risk of moving on too quick, by the way, Dave? Oh, that's a failure. And it turns out, we probably dumped that too quick.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, I never thought podcasting would be big. I made fun of our guys doing it early. Good for us. They kept doing it and it exploded. So I'm not the end all be all with knowing what works. We also give our talent a ton of freedom. So, you know, I can't think of what other people think of, and they can't think of what I think of. And if they hit something, what we're good at, it's almost like a band label. We try to find talented people and then say, go do your thing. And we'll support it. We'll give you the resources. And through the years, you know, whether it's a Pat McAfee, a Call Her Daddy, a Big Cat, $1 million worth of game, Bussin' with the Boys, myself, whatever it is, they're all radically different. Jenna Marbles, a lot of people may not even know who that is. She's like the first like female YouTube star. She worked for us when she exploded. So it's just finding talent and letting go nuts.
So is there, when you find talent, and I've used you guys, and I could be accurate or inaccurate with this, but it seems to me the modern day media company is built around, it's like you find 3 to 5 tentpole personalities, and those personalities become the media company. And around those personalities, you've got to build whatever it may be, profitable content production warehouses, whatever it is. You know, I mean, like, that's the Daily Wire. You can look at 3 to 5 big personalities. It's most media companies. It's pretty easy to find, you know, the tent poles of Barstool. But I'm going to give you an example, and I'll say this on air. I've said it to you in private. I'm a huge fan, you know this, of Jersey Jerry, right? Yep. I think Jersey Jerry is hilarious. I think he's incredibly talented. I can't believe he started out as a caller on my radio show back at ESPN. But you got to find, like, you take a guy like that and you think, okay, I got to find it, or he's got to find a platform. So, you know, he's got to find what, I don't know what's going to be, podcast, YouTube show, something. those personalities have to become part of your business in some way.
Yeah, and we don't always know what it is. A perfect example I didn't mention the first time around is Caleb Presley. So Caleb's a wildly talented guy, and he was with us for years before I would say he found his niche, which now he does a Sunday show, Sunday Conversation.
It's great.
Insanely popular. It took years for him to find his thing. Jerry just started this Jerry After Dark, which is him just basically mutilating himself, I guess is the way that I would describe it. But it's like, that's wildly successful. So we don't put a time clock. Again, you find, I'd agree with what you said. The analogy I used when I sold Barstool the first time, half of it, we want to be like a new age Saturday Night Live. You find your cast of people, core people, create content. And if a couple people leave, the core is there and you keep looking for new talent. And we've become fortunate that a lot of young comedian, talented people, they want to come. So like Jerry wanted to join. And, I had to find Caleb, but people send us and we have our pick sort of up and coming people. It's hard now. It gets harder. The flip side of that with social media, a lot of people don't need the network anymore. You can go be successful yourself. So you got to find them young.
So, by the way, Caleb, and Sunday Conversations is awesome. I don't give gratuitous compliments. I think that's an awesome show as well. Let's marry these two conversations we're having about you being nimble and making quick decisions, and then you finding these talents and putting them in positions to succeed. So what happened with Barstool Radio? It just didn't do what you wanted them to do, the mission of the show?
So yeah, Barstool Radio started. We used to have our own station on Sirius, and I did a daily show. And it was really, it could be anything, but the thesis of it was insider Barstool drama, which we air out. We're very honest. And then we didn't renew with Sirius, and Barstool Radio basically went away. I became quite a bit more wealthy in the time that we didn't renew. And my interest in doing a daily radio show basically really went away, unless somebody was going to pay me so much money. So we brought it back after I got the company back. Started with Kevin Clancy, KFC, who's been with us forever. He stopped doing it, and two new people did it, Kelly Keegs and Francis. There was a big controversy in there. This is probably boring people. Big controversy involving Kelly Keegs. She didn't talk about it on Barstool Radio. That's the antithesis of what Barstool Radio is.
And you fired. I mean, you basically fired her, or you canceled the show.
Canceled the show, yeah. Instant cancel.
Why? Why the rash decision? Why so?
Well,
no meeting? No talking it over?
Yeah, no. If they can't figure that out, then they'll never figure it out. There's no like it. If you don't get that, you're never going to get it.
Versus that patience you talked about a minute ago.
Yeah,
finding
now
out what Caleb will succeed at.
Kelly Keegs is very good at covering Taylor Swift, and people make fun of it. Why are you covering Taylor Swift? Blah, blah. Listen, Taylor Swift is an industry unto herself, so she's very good at that. But that's not Barstool Radio, so she could be successful somewhere else. Caleb Presley was on the original iteration of Barstool Radio. He hated it, wasn't his bag. Go find something else. She wasn't fired from the company. That show just got canceled.
You're right. Some people will probably be bored by the inner dynamics of Barstool. I'm curious about it, but I'm also curious. But no, I'm also like always trying to dig a little deeper. I'm just kind of curious as you as an entrepreneur and you as a leader in making decisions. And you said something there. You got rich. I'm curious. Like, it's easy to grind when you're working towards this sort of idea of a promised land, which you sort of reached, Dave. Like, whatever you're worth. I'm sure at that moment, it seemed like the payoff for the brick by brick, handing out papers on the streets of Boston. But now you're back, and you find yourself in the same leadership position. I'm kind of curious if it's not hard for you to get back up for the grind.
No. Here's the thing. Before I started Barstool, I had a 9-to-5. I did sales, and I did that for, 5, 6, 7 years. It makes you appreciate what Barstool is. So yeah, it's a grind. We gotta live stream football games. We gotta talk about things we want to talk about. This is Barstool in a lot of respects. If you can't throw a 98 mile per hour fastball on the black, or you can't run a 4.140. This is a dream job. So yes, I don't have to work anymore. This is not work. It never has been work. It's like this has been a fantasy trip that you sometimes close your eyes. You're like, I can't believe we made it here. So yes, I get it. You got to do the shows. You got to talk about it. It's tough to complain. And that drives me, by the way, nuts about some of my employees. They've never had real jobs. I know what it's like to have 99.9% of people who wake up, hate their job, 9 to 5. They wake up, it's dark out. They get home, it's dark out. They don't like it. That's not us. So, oh, shoot, I got to go spend a week in Vegas at the Super Bowl. Young Dave, 25 years, would have cut somebody's, head off to have that opportunity. So it's all relative.
What about, I'm going to move on to some things outside of the inner dynamics of Barstool in just a moment, but the CEO, Erica Nardini, left. So what's the future? Are you going to run Barstool? Are you looking for a new CEO?
No, just me. I'll run it. I was probably more involved than people realized. Yeah. She's there if I need her or questions. Though here's the benefit of getting to my position. On the way up, you got to kiss a lot of ass. And you got to be like, okay, these meetings, if I don't want to do something or I don't like it, I don't do it and I don't like it. I'm short, I'm curt. That probably will be the biggest sea change for Barstool employees. Erica was great. Open door policy, treated everybody almost like family. You have a complaint, she had a ear. You have a complaint, go tell the wall. I don't care. So that will be a little bit of a difference for people at Barstool. I really don't have. If someone wants to complain, it won't be to me.
What about New York? You going to stay in New York? You built this whole big thing in Chicago. So what's the future of New York?
We still have the New York office. A lot of people, a lot of business people, content. Chicago's a fun factory that Dan built. I'm in Miami, Texas. So I have built my life around the 183 model. So I will get my 183 days here, and then I'll spend a lot of time New York, Chicago. But I could get my 183.
But you keep the New York office.
Oh yeah. Well, Barstool. I checked in where we have we're under contract till, I don't know, like the year 4000. So yes.
Okay. One more. I wanted to ask you this. So you brought it up. You're rich. Hey, man, you and I've only met in person once. I don't care. I'm going to ask you the questions that make me curious. You look different than you did when you were young, Dave. And what I want to figure out is what you did. Like you lost weight, for sure.
Better. You're saying I look better now.
Well, it's not just... Yes, and yes, you look better now. Did you think I was going to say, no, you've really let yourself go?
No, I know. It's a well-known thing. Well,
what'd you do? Is this you got rich and you started eating right and working out? Do you do an HGH? Like, what's going on here?
So when I started Barstool, I literally would be at my computer and we blogged. It was a writing world. And I would write 24/7. I've told this, but I would get Panera for lunch. I would, a Caesar salad comes with a little baguette. I would also get the full baguette and eat the whole thing for lunch and then a pizza for dinner. No exercise. So it was gross. Then I was also married. I got divorced from my ex who I'm still like best friends with. Food that was in the kitchen, gone. I started going out because you have to meet people. Adderall. I was taking Adderall, losing my hunger. So the weight went off and it just never really came back. But I don't work out. I have a bum shoulder. I can't do anything.
You don't work out at all?
Not at all.
You got a private chef?
Well, I started hot boy walks. So I'll walk like 3 miles a day.
You got like a private chef making sure you eat right now.
No, I literally order takeout every day.
What about Adderall? You still on Adderall?
No, not as much because I've switched into... So I was going out a lot. I went through like a party phase. So I don't do that anymore. So it's early to bed, early to rise. So I would take Adderall if I was out late, I was exhausted, I needed it. If I really need to be sharp, if I feel like I'm about to get into a debate with an enemy, Adderall.
No.
Yeah. Keep that thing going